do this so everyone in our network can access the event later on. But if you don't feel comfortable, you can always rename yourself or, there's a few people waiting. You can rename yourself or remove your video or anything, but in general, because we are sharing the screen, the video are not shared. And so we are live and we are starting. My name is Stella and I'm the regional leader of Learning in Portugal. And we have today Mihaela, who is going to be guiding this session. She is a product manager for Volkswagen Digital here in Lisbon. And she's an active member of the community. And this is one of the things that we love, is that our community, like the essence of a community is like all members add value to everyone. We don't only take, but we also give as community members. And I'm really happy to see our members taking the initiative and coming up and sharing their skills with the rest of us. The numbers in Portugal during the crisis, 90% of the job losses in March and April in Portugal were jobs done by women. So we thought it was very necessary to do this kind of initiatives and help women around the world, because it's not only in Portugal, but all over the world. Women have suffered the impact of the crisis so much harder than men. So we wanna support them by sharing this information and our community members are doing so. So just one more thing before we go ahead is a bit of housekeeping. So you all are gonna be mute during the event. If at any moment you wanna do a question, please use the Zoom, the chat. We also ask you that if you wanna send a message to anyone privately, please do so, as long as it's respectful. Because one thing we don't allow is any sort of disrespect or harassment. We have a very strict policy. So if anyone is not comfortable with any messages, please speak to me. Okay, message me on the chat, and that person will be put on the waiting room. We just want everyone to feel comfortable to share and to speak up. And now we are gonna go ahead, Mihaela, whenever you want.
Now it's over to me.
And one more question. Yes, Mihaela, do you want the questions to be done during the event, or you prefer we wait until the end and we do all the questions at the end?
I think it's easier if we do the questions at the end. But if anyone has any questions throughout, you can just drop them in the chat and then we can take them.
Awesome.
Take them at the end. It's the easiest way to go about it.
So in case so you don't forget about them, just put them in the chat and we will address them later on at the end. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool. First of all, I would like to apologize in case my internet drops at any point. I'm so scared. I've been having issues a lot lately, so I really hope this goes well. Fingers crossed. Thank you, Stella. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really happy that you all have joined. I really hope that this session will be useful for all of you. It's what Stella was saying earlier. We're creating communities where people contribute and help each other and share knowledge, and it's amazing to be part of something like this. And again, I hope that all of this conversation is going to be useful for you to a certain extent. So yeah, let's get started. A bit more about myself. As Stella was saying, I'm currently working as a product manager for the Software Development Center here in Lisbon, part of Volkswagen Digital Solutions. I'm originally from Romania. I've been in Lisbon for a year. Prior to that, I used to live in London for about 7 years. Also working as a product manager, as well as in digital marketing and advertising. So I have quite a varied experience, mostly on the marketing and business side, and then I shifted towards product management and working in software development, what I currently do. I absolutely love it. I've left here my LinkedIn. Happy to get in touch if you have questions about today's session, or product management in general, or roles in tech. More than happy to help out and more than happy to answer. Now, a little bit about today. What are you going to get out of this? I'm going straight to the point. Some insights and some tips around how you can get organized and keep yourself accountable when you're looking for a job by using this job search roadmap tool that I'm going to show you. And then next is how to plan and schedule your time and activities in order to keep yourself focused and indistractable, which is the term I learned about from this American author, Nir Eyal. I'm going to tell you a bit more about it later as well. And the last point is around about staying motivated, staying resilient, and not getting discouraged throughout your process, because usually it takes a very long time and you have a lot of ups and downs, and it's not straightforward and linear. So a few ideas on how to keep resilient. Now, to give you some context, why this job search roadmap, I'm going to give you a bit of context around the product roadmap. For those of you who are not familiar with the role of a product manager, I'm going to do a bit of an introduction of what my responsibilities are as a product manager, quite high level. So we work together with teams of software developers, with designers, with data teams, with business stakeholders, with users, to research and understand what problems people have, what needs they have, and then come up with software solutions, be it websites, mobile apps, web apps, different digital services. So overall, we call them digital products, software solutions to help people solve their problems, to help people do certain tasks or certain jobs more easily. So our main responsibility is to coordinate with these different functions within a company. So be it software developers, be it the business side, be it the designers, and put pieces together to come up with useful products for people. And one of the tools and one of the frameworks we use are these product roadmaps, which are basically visual representation of the business vision and strategy over a period of time, connected with the product solution. So you come up with a product, with a software solution that will solve a specific problem, but then you need to break it down in, let's say, milestones. So you start with a small version of it, which we call a minimum viable product. So it could be the simplest version of that solution that can already help the user. And then over time, you keep adding to it till you reach your end goal, bigger product vision. And this gets translated in what we call a product roadmap. It can be illustrated over a period of time with different milestones and steps for this product until it reaches a certain level. And this representation helps us from the product team side be aligned with the business, vision and the business goals, and keep everyone in sync and keep everyone having transparency over what's going on with the product and how that product is evolving and developing. Now, in the same thought, in the same idea, you can build this roadmap for your job search, and that's how I came up with this to illustrate this, because over the last year, to be honest, I've been in touch with a lot of friends or a lot of acquaintances and people in my network who ended up without a job, who started looking for jobs, who needed some help, who needed advice or guidance. And I was thinking, why not apply some of the knowledge I have from my specific role into this activity? Because it kind of works, and I'm going to show you how. So I said, okay, let's create a job search roadmap. It's basically the same thing. It would give you some visibility over your goals and objectives over time, and it will help you keep track on how to achieve them. And that's why I was saying, for me, having this roadmap for your job search would mean that it helps you monitor your progress, because you will have some clear objectives and clear milestones set for yourself. And once you've achieved those steps, you feel the sense of progress. So you feel accomplished and you feel good about yourself, rather than feeling overwhelmed or feeling tired or not having that clarity that you're actually progressing, in your actions. Now, how can you do this, and how can you build it? How can you create this roadmap? Before I show you the specific example, I was thinking of the tools you can use. And the way we do it in product management varies from the simple using Post-its. So you can use Post-its on the wall or on a whiteboard, and you put your objectives and your goals on Post-its, and you just put them up there, and you have them visible in front of your eyes. You can use pen and paper. You can use your calendar. You can use spreadsheets. You can use dedicated software and tools. I can give you some examples. Maybe you're familiar with platforms like Trello or Notion or Miro or Monday. So there are different platforms that, for example, we use in our day-to-day work that could actually be useful in this context as well. And I'm going to show you a few examples. I actually built some. I hope it works. Just 1 second. I'm going to bring up the one I created in Miro. I hope it works. So Miro is one of these tools that we're usually using in our day-to-day work as product managers. And I absolutely love it because it has a really nice visual impact. It's specifically for creating whiteboards. So you can do diagrams, you can do write Post-its, you can do all sorts of visual representation of ideas or workflows and so on. So I actually replicated here an idea of a roadmap. And I gave an example of having it over time. So again, this is just an example. It's a guideline. It's more like a framework that you can take as an example and then adapt as you please. You can go in as much detail as you want or be as high level as you want. But this specific example is of a plan over time. And I broke it down into 4 main steps. As you can see, you have a preparation step, the actual job search itself, doing the applications, and then the interview steps. And I created some objectives here for each of the main steps. I'm just going to repeat it. These are just examples. It's not an exhaustive list. You can add or remove and use whatever you think is relevant. But I've put just some to illustrate the idea. So in the first place, you would have to spend quite some time to get yourself started and get yourself organized and think of your roadmap, think of how you would break it down in some main objectives, decide on the tools you want to use to keep yourself organized, whether you want to use calendars, whether you want to use Excel spreadsheets, whether you want to use one of these platforms. it's all about how you want to get organized. Then I put one important step here, define your professional self. I don't know how many of you have joined the previous session we did with Olga from Cedars, and she touched upon this point, that before actually starting to look for a job, it's important to take some time and think about yourself. What are your skills? What are your strengths? What you would like to do? What are the sectors you're looking towards? What are the specific roles you're looking for? Do you want to do a career shift? Do you want to earn more money? What your goals are, what your objectives are. And it's important to spend some time to define those parameters, because that will later on guide you in what you're going to include in your CV, what companies you're going to look for, what networks you're looking to join, and so on. So I've added it here. Then I've added another point, also part of the preparation stage, around identifying a support person. This is very important because even though we've been learning a lot to be independent and self-reliant, it's actually very important to have someone out there that is on our side. As I mentioned a little bit before, this process takes time, sometimes takes a lot of energy, is draining, there will be ups, there will be downs, and it's very important to have someone next to you to help you out, to nudge you from time to time. Hey, how's it going with your CV? Have you finished your first draft? Hey, how many jobs have you applied to today? Or even just be there to give you feedback, or to listen to you, or to give you moral support. And this person can be anyone, can be your best friend, can be someone from your family, but it's important to have someone on your side. It could be even more than one person. Yeah, it's not restricted. And then I've added points about preparing your resume, preparing your cover letter. Again, here, as I've put these as part of the preparation stage, but for example, on the resume side, you will write your first version of it, but then you will keep adapting it and keep changing it depending on the roles you apply for, depending on depending on what your application needs to look like. So the idea is, once you create your CV, that's a living product in itself as well. It should grow and it should evolve, and it should go through multiple versions. You shouldn't just have, okay, I've created my CV and now I'm going to submit it to 100 companies. It's something that should be part of the process itself over time. Then going to the next section, you would have, let's say, your search part, where you will create, let's say, first a list of resources, a list of job portals, websites, networks that you need to join, a list of companies that you would be interested in, a list of roles that you would be interested in, and then explore the job descriptions available, so that you are able to, again, what I was saying earlier, adapt your CV based on that. And then you start applying. So again, here on the application stage, let's say your objective is you have this period of time and you need to start applications in this period of time, then you can break it down even further. And I'm going to go into that as well. For the interviews part, I just put one bar here as an example. Before you go to the interview, prepare for the interview by having some mock interviews. Not only one, but multiple, just to make sure you cover some of the points that you might think you would be asked in the real scenario, so that you are prepared. So again, this is very high level. These are just some guidelines and ideas. You can adapt them based on your needs. In this illustration, everything is spread over a 1 month period. You can spread it over a shorter time frame, for example, or organize it completely differently. And I have another example here below, which is basically the same thing, but organized based on the main topics. So you have your preparation, your search, the application step, and the interviews. And inside each main topic, you then have your objectives, your main milestones. So that's one example, built-in mirror. It can be used as a template. And I wanted to show you another example created with the same information, but in Notion. It's another platform that I actually enjoy using a lot, also for my personal activities and in my personal projects and so on to keep organized. And I created the same with more or less the same information, but in Notion. And here you can see I have everything again organized by the same topics. So the preparation, the search, the applications, the interviews, and so on. What I really like about Notion actually is that it gives you a lot of flexibility on how you can play with what you create here. So I have a view here, which is what we call the cards view. So each objective becomes a card, which can then be expanded, and you can add more content to it. Amazing. Or you can have a type of list view, where again, you can organize everything by topic and then the specific points. And you can also put yourself a time frame. So I want to start writing my resume at this date, and I want to have it finished by this date. And then put a status, so you can keep track of your activities. So again, this is a different view of the same thing. And you can also have a calendar view if that gives you, more information, more visibility, and so on. So you can organize everything and then change the views depending on what helps you out. Okay. These were just a few of the examples. What I wanted to show also from Notion, which could be very helpful for you, I'm going to jump to this one. So every point in here, in every point that you create in Notion, allows you to then add more content inside it. So for example, if you look at your applications, right? So you say, I want to start applying for roles from the 1st of September. And I give myself a month, and I need to apply to 5 every day, and so on. But you want to keep track, right? You want to keep track of what jobs you applied for, what's the status with each one of them. Because if you start applying to a high number of roles, then you totally lose track. Like, you don't want to apply to the same role twice. And you want to know if someone responded or not, if there is a need to follow up, or if you have interviews scheduled, and so on. So this is actually a good example I want to give you here. You can open this and add content inside here and get it organized as you please. So I just put an example of, okay, this is the list of jobs I applied for. Job number 1, you can put the company name or the role title, whatever you want. You can add the link to the role. And then you can also put a status that can help you keep track. So you say, okay, I've applied to this one at this date. I've sent an email, or I have an interview scheduled already. And you can customize this. Sorry, jump back. Open again. You can customize this as you please. You can add extra columns. You can add new templates to it. It's really, really flexible in how you want to get organized. You can put yourself deadlines. You can put yourself a specific chunk of, okay, this is when I want to have achieved that specific part of my goals. I had another example, I think, with the job platforms. So for example, okay, I need to do research on the most suitable job platforms where I can find positions available. Give myself 2 days to do that. And then you can actually list them here. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in putting all the content and all the information that you need to have, putting it together in one place. You can do the same this is just, again, an example and a guideline. You can do the same with Google Spreadsheets. You can do the same with the calendar. I'm a big fan of these tools, and I'm showing them to you as an example. Again, you can use them if you find them helpful. Couple more points I wanted to add, which take me to actually the next step. I kept talking about putting yourself timelines and marking the progress, and that takes me to my next point, around making sure you keep yourself indistractable. And I'm going back to what I was mentioning in the beginning. There is this American author called Mihaela, who has published actually 2 books. One book is called Hooked, and it's about how apps and technology has been designed to keep us hooked in there, to keep us always going back for notifications, keep us, alert over receiving messages, checking Facebook, checking Instagram, checking Snapchat, checking the calendar, another notification is popping up, and so on. And it's really interesting to read how the combination between technology and human psychology resulted into us getting addicted to all these diversity of stimuli and resources. And the second book he wrote, called Indistractable, focuses on how to remove all these noise and all these distractions from around us in order to keep focus and to become more productive and to achieve what we want to achieve. And I totally recommend the book. That's why I wanted to mention it here. I've started practicing what I've learned about in that book, and proved very useful. So I want to give this advice to you as well. So going from this job search roadmap, where you outline your objectives, and it's a bit more high level, you can then break it down into actions and then plan your days and your weeks. Okay, what do I want to do today? And instead of planning it as a list of actions, write the CV, apply for 5 jobs, you should allocate the time to do it. So you should say, okay, today from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I'm going to spend time to write on my CV. From 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., I'm going to research what the most suitable networks are and join. So with this, you have a set of actions you want to take, and at the same time, you allocate the time to do those things, to make sure that you dedicate yourself to that specific task, to that specific action. Because if you only say, okay, today I write in my CV, for sure, during that day, something is going to come up, something is going to happen, there will be a distraction, and you will say, okay, I didn't have time to do it today, I'll do it tomorrow, and so on. So the idea is plan your time and dedicate your time to these things that you want to achieve, and break them down as smaller chunks, as bigger chunks as you want, it doesn't matter, but just plan it throughout your day and allocate that time in your calendar, book it and say, okay, I'm not moving from my laptop, from my desk until I'm achieving this. And the other thing I wanted to say, which I consider very important, and I recommend it to everyone, is once you have this plan with your time, okay, throughout the week, for example, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with the people around you, and tell them, hey people, this is what I want to do this week. It's very important, because if you do that, you will have their support, and they will be more mindful of your time, and they would also be, focused on checking up on you and offering their support and say, hey, how's it going? Do you need any help? And you will feel less pressure to, and even less fear of missing out, because then it will be like, oh, someone needs your help, or someone is inviting you to go out, or someone wants you to do something else. But the moment you share your calendar and everyone knows, okay, I'm focusing on these things right now, people will be more mindful and you will feel less of that pressure and less of that stress. And I consider that very important, and I totally recommend it because it helps you keep on track. I've seen that in a lot of people I've been speaking to who have been looking for jobs for months. And the conversation is very much around, okay, I spend 1 day a week and I apply to 20 roles, and then I get distracted and I spend 2 more weeks doing nothing, and then I get back to it. But actually I don't have any responses, and so on. So it's also a matter of creating these plans and being consistent with them, because otherwise, yes, it will take a lot of time. Yes, it will put a lot of strain and pressure on you, and that becomes tiring. And at some point you become losing hope, and it's like, oh, this is not successful, I'm never gonna make it there. But actually you will. And by doing this, every step you take, every objective you achieve, you will see the progress and you will feel that progress. Which takes me to my final point around staying resilient. So I think aside from all of these things that I've mentioned so far, make a focus on how you want to spend your time and how you want to spend your days, and allocate time for focusing on that specific objective. Then allocate the time for, okay, I want to go for a run, or I want to watch Netflix, or I want to eat something good, or I want to spend time with my friends or family. But break it down in chunks of time and dedicate that specific time to that specific action. And then learn from your progress. So what's good about these roadmaps is that once you achieve an objective, then you can learn a lesson. Once you don't achieve something and there are some things that don't work along the way, you can look back and say, okay, what went wrong? What can I change? What can I improve? We have this in product management when building software, which we call build, measure, learn. And it's always about this continuous loop for measuring, for looking back and saying, okay, what can be done better, what can be done different, what can we continue with. So it's a learning and a progressive process. And another advice or suggestion, which was also mentioned by Olga in the previous webinar we did a few weeks ago, around practicing gratitude and trying positive mental attitudes. Whether you want to do some meditation, or whether you want to go outdoors and getting fresh air and do some exercise outdoors, that would make you feel better. Anything that can help you keep positive and optimistic. And the last point, going back again, check in with your friends, check in with your family, check in with your support persons. It's very important to have people around you to support you in this process. And it's very important to understand that when we're looking for jobs, or when we're going through specific times in our lives, we have people on our side. And mostly people on our side are willing to help and jump in, and we don't need to do everything on our own. And sometimes it's good to go back and check in with the close ones, and get that vibe and that optimism from them, and the support from them as well. And I think that's my my closing part. And I wanted to close with this. As we were mentioning earlier, I'm happy to share the examples I've showed you. And we can decide on how we can do that. I know Stella had one last point.
Yes. So after listening and learning a bit more about planning your job search roadmap, we like to finish at In Portugal. We like to finish with actionable points, right? because this was really informative and actionable, and that's what we are looking for, not theory, but things that we can start putting into practice right now as soon as we finish the workshop. So my question, please, I would love if you want to share as well on the chat, is like, what is your one action? What is the thing that resonated with you the most, that you feel it will bring you that 80-20, right? That what is the thing that, if there is one, I mean, it's about the process, right? About what Mihaela is explaining is like the entire process of how you map everything together, right? It's not one thing. There's no silver bullet. But what is the thing you will put into action right now? Or something maybe it was missing for you, or something that made sense? Anyone want to share? Some of you are also thinking of career changes and things and looking for a job, a few of you. So if you want to share, well, we would love to hear as well. Okay, so Sandy is saying that breaking down the steps, that she wanna try it. To do a milestone-based action chart. My process was exactly like the presenter said: do a sprint, don't be consistent, and then lose hope. That was Vanita as well. Thank you for sharing. And Isuara is saying that she want to do a research online on that Notion platform. It seems very useful. Yeah, I really like Notion, actually. It's really cool.
Yeah, me too. And that's why I try to give the examples on some tools and platforms that I've been frequently using. So
yeah,
I can actually give some insights in that. They have free versions and paid for versions. For personal use, it's quite easy and enough to use the free versions. That's valid for Miro, that's valid for Notion. I know Trello has also a free version.
5 boards for free.
Yeah, Monday. It's also a very interesting tool and very, very helpful and nice to use. I think they have a trial version. I'm not sure if they have a long-term free version.
I totally recommend Trello. I use it. We use it for all my volunteering. We use it for Lean in Portugal. We use it for another communities that I'm involved. I use it personally and for work. For my moving to Portugal, we Trello everything, my husband and I. So it really works. But that also, that don't get too hooked up. And as you were talking about this, Mihaela, about the tools. So for example, I thought like Airtable was amazing, but then it takes forever to set it up. So I end up dropping it and going to the basics, which is a Google Sheet that I will never lose, right? So if you get, like, you are procrastinating, basically, because, and then I'm talking by experience, right? This is a difficult task, finding job, right? And we all have been there. And it's really hard. And I think Gabriela is asking about this, like how to keep motivated after receiving no's, right? We tend to procrastinate in these situations. So don't start like creating a lot of things and tools, you know, and don't doing what you have to do. Like these are things that are supposed to help you getting things done, not to distract you to doing them. So always keep it in mind that if something is taking too much time, then go back to the basics. Yeah, and a Google Sheet and things like that. If you want to experience with, I mean, of course, I recommend you to experience this software because they're really useful. And there are like videos that you can see, like 5 minutes, how to master this in 5 minutes. That really help to get you started. But at the same time, don't get derailed from your one action, like your action of finding, of creating that roadmap and applying for jobs.
Yeah, I mean, if I can add to it, to begin with, it's as easy as taking some post-its and writing on post-its or pen and paper, just to get your mind focused and to get your mind in a frame. But then I totally recommend using calendars. and using your calendar to book time and to actually break down your actions and get to action and do things. Because if you don't book that time in your calendar, it usually happens that you get distracted and things happen and things come up, and you become either too busy or you tend procrastinating, and then you end up at the end of the week and it's like, oh, I was supposed to write my CV this week and I didn't get to do it. So and that puts you in a down state to begin with already, you know.
Yeah. So continuing with that, Adrienne says, identify your support person. That's really important, I think, as well, to have someone. Yeah. Or I mean, also we are happy to we have our Facebook group, so and we can create spaces for people. I mean, we're looking for a better alternative than Facebook, but at the moment it's either Slack or Facebook, and then, but you just find like a community, right, of people that maybe might be in the same situation. So I will invite you all to join the Facebook group and just talk to each other, right? Keep each other accountable. I think having that peer support really helps. So I will encourage you to go, for example, where we have the live video from today, which is in our Facebook page and also on the group, and maybe just connect with each other, right? And create a separate room to keep each other accountable. These are the kind of tips that if you don't have that one person, things you can use from attending these events is not only getting the knowledge, but also using the networking part for supporting each other. And that's what I came back to the community part, right? Like, it's really good to add value to each other. And that's why we also facilitate these spaces. I'll continue with the questions. So yeah, another person, Gabriela, is saying my one action, book time to update the resume. Yeah, that's a tough
nice.
That's a tough one. And yeah, so Ardi is asking, can you share a link to a previous session that focused on define personal self? Yes.
I think Abby had a question as well. Any advice on how to keep motivated after receiving no's?
Yeah, that's the one I addressed that part before. But
sorry.
Any advice? Yeah, actually, you wanna answer that one?
What I wanted to add on that one is that once you receive those no's, it's very, very important to understand why. Ask the person who gives you the feedback, whether it's the recruiter, whether it's the person who interviewed you, to give you specific feedback as to why, so that you understand, and so that you understand where is it that there wasn't a match, if you're missing some skills, or if you're not even, you know, maybe you're not suitable for that role. Maybe that role is not suitable for you. So it will help you understand the why of that rejection, and that will help you deal with it later on, whether you can take some action about it and improve your skills, or look for more information, or you say, okay, that role wasn't for me, so there is not even point to feel sorry about it. So yeah, I think understanding why it's critical in this case.
Yeah, it's just more challenging, I would say, if you haven't reached the part where you already had a conversation with the recruiter or the recruiting manager, right? If it's at the really beginning when you don't get an answer, basically, or you get the email saying that your application wasn't successful, most of the times, based on my experience, is companies don't even read the CVs. They just use ATS system, which is like a software that goes through applications and look for keywords. So I mean, in my opinion, I understand they have to optimize time, but I think it's horrible because it's losing the essence of people. So I will say there are some tools as well where you can check your CV for keywords against the job offer. I don't remember the name. I'll try to find it and send it on the follow-up email, okay? But I know there was a tool that will match, that it will give you the keywords. And that's what happened with the ATS. And that's, again, they put this in place, and now the people that knows how to play the game better, then they get ahead of the others, even if they are not better qualified or suitable for the job. but they know the rules of the game, they know how to play them, and they get on top. And that's what is happening nowadays with CVs. So if you receive the no's on that part where you don't even get to the interview, my recommendation would be make a different resume for each job you applied for.
Totally.
You cannot use the same one for everything. And the reason is because of these ATS softwares and the keywords. You have to put keywords from each job within your resume. So maybe if you use one word to define one skill, but the job post has a different word, use that other word. I'm not saying to lie, I'm just saying to use language in a way that you are saying the same, but using the words that they are looking for. Okay, I would never recommend you to say things that you are not, because then when you go to the interview, that's it. But you also need how to play the game. So I would recommend you to really make a research on ATS. It's written like use like Alpha, Tango, Sierra, and those kind of softwares to understand a bit more the process behind recruiting. And actually, we are preparing a session about that with a few HR managers to break it down. What are the processes so you understand how it really works and you can be ahead of the game. Okay, because usually what also happens is like there are a lot of ghost job offers in LinkedIn where there are no real jobs, but they are looking to test the market and things like that, which is really unfortunate because people feel demotivated because they don't get the job or they don't even get called. There are also companies that they already have the person that is going to take the job, but they still have to put the job outside. So there are many reasons why. So don't torture yourself thinking that it's you or whatever. Just do everything which is in your side, which is adapt your CV to the job, but outside of, and then do your research from the company and your keywords. But after that, there are other many reasons why you might not get the response you are looking for. Okay.
Just to reinforce what you were saying, Stella, about the importance of personalizing and customizing your resume to each role you apply for, beyond the systems that automatically detect keywords, in some companies you don't have that, right? But you have people who recruit and people who have the trained eye and have a sense for it. And I'm telling you, it's so easy to spot CVs that are generic. And it's so easy to spot people that use the same CV to apply for 20 jobs, 30 jobs, 50 jobs. And they get disqualified or not selected from the start. So it's very, very important to customize your CV, your application to every job description. So I cannot reinforce that enough, just like what Stella said.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
Maybe we should do a dedicated session for that as well as part of this series.
Yeah, we are coming with a lot of sessions on different aspects, but also listening to what are the questions and the needs makes us help catering more to that. What else? So Adele is saying she's gonna do mock interviews. Yeah, that really makes sense to get more comfortable on about the interview. Topcv.com checks your CV for you, and then improve. Okay, that's so. There you have a tool to check your CVs, and also jobscan.co. So just check the chat because they are sharing some the word match and all about all of this that we are talking. So now regarding questions, I know there was one at the beginning, so let me go back to that. Which companies are using these tools? I think Rita was asking that. Yeah, I see it's a free tool. I think it's regarding Miro.
Miro, yes. I mean, yeah, you can create an account on the platform and use it for your personal needs easily.
So yeah, most of everything that we covered today is free, as we were saying before. Any other questions? Mihaela mentioned some books. May she point them again, please? Liliana is asking.
Yes, I can write the chat. So one is called Hooked, And the second one is called Indistractable, and they're both written by Nir Eyal. I'm just going to type the name.
Yes. Okay. Nir Eyal. Okay, I didn't hear about that before.
Hope I spelled it correctly.
And also Vanita was saying that she has been a motivated sort of break for almost 2 years. How do I get back to active job search? So regarding taking breaks from work, I think this affects a lot women, especially because sometimes you have kids and you have like it's cheaper to stop working than to hire someone to help you in some countries, like in the UK, for example. Or maybe your job, they let you go, things like that. And it's very personal, right? But some women also doesn't want to go back after having babies. I have a friend here in Portugal. Well, she's from the States that she had 3 kids. Like she waited a lot for career purposes, and then she had 3 kids, one after the other. And on the third one, she decided to take a break. And she's into tech, like cybersecurity, like super amazing resume. Still, it took her 1 year to go back to find a job. She looked for a returnship program. So that's something I would recommend you to look for. There are companies and there are associations and things like that creating those kinds. So it's like an internship, but for return to work. And it's especially catered to women that had to take a break, either to take care of kids or to take care of a sick person, which usually falls on the woman's side, all these caring roles. And then they had this gap on their CV, and it was really difficult for them to go back. And they don't want to go to a lower job than they were doing. So those returnship programs are really helpful. But yeah, just keep trying. Also, for example, my husband was recruiting very recently, as he was telling me, I can't believe this woman, like a woman applied for a job super lower than her qualifications. And he was shocked at this lady with like a computer science master. She was applying for like customer service role for his company. And he couldn't believe it. And we had this discussion, right? Like sometimes we as women, we get so desperate that we get so many no's for the job we want that we end up undervaluing ourselves because we have to bring money to the house because it depends on us. So it's very personal again. But I would say stay strong. I understand that sometimes you have to do what you have to do. I had to do it. I studied a master's in psychology, and I had to go to the Middle East to work as a stewardess on an airline because on the 2009 crisis, my mom lost her job and we had a mortgage and we couldn't pay, and the bank was going to take our house. So I went, and after a master's, I was working as a air crew. But that, like, I did that, I saved money, and then I went back to what I really wanted to do. But I studied, I kept forming myself, I networked, I always kept, like, you have to do what you have to do, right, as a woman, because we have priorities, and bringing money to the table is the main one. But don't always go for the under, you know what I mean? Like, don't, like, do it while you have to, but always keep going for what you really want to do. And another example I want to share with someone I talked recently is this amazing Brazilian women who moved to Dublin a few years ago and had to start from scratch. She's working at a mall and a retail. And she started studying Python, which is one coding language. And then she managed to get a job in a startup, in a tech startup, as an office manager. So really low level and not very well paid. She learned every time, every moment she had free, she kept learning how to code by herself and asking questions to her colleagues, which nobody thought that she was going to get anywhere. She has been hired by Google, you know, and she taught herself in 1 year. She got a program from Google, like a scholarship. She's being paid to study for 6 months. Then for 1 year, she's gonna work part-time and part-time studying. And the last 6 months, she studies 1 day a week and work with Google 4 days. So, you know, you have to keep fighting for what you want. You have to do what you have to do, the time you have to do it, but don't forget your dreams, because we tend to live our dreams and what we want for others, for our family, for that, but don't let that drop, right? Keep trying, keep learning, keep attending events, networking, and taking care of yourself. And that's what Mihaela was saying. Invest in yourself, invest time in yourself, in researching the companies you are applying for, because you can get it. You just, you know, it's not gonna be easy, but don't just go for the low qualified job, because, you know, if you can, keep trying, keep trying. That's my empowerment message, but I really feel very strong about this, as you can see. So I just wanted to share that. And Adele was asking, is there a specific CV format that is more acceptable or traditionally used by Portuguese companies? Mihaela, can you? I'm not Portuguese and I work from home. I haven't applied for a job in Portugal, so I cannot say.
I have applied for jobs in Portugal, but for international companies. So at this stage, I'm still learning. I'm not fully familiar with how the market works here. From my experience so far, for the roles we're looking for example, we're just looking at very straightforward resumes of like 1 or 2 pages with the relevant information for the role. I think there are some standards I'm not specifically familiar with, but yeah, for us, like from my perspective, and for example, what I was doing before in the UK as well, anything that's longer than 3 pages, or you end up with 4, 5, 6 pages for a product manager role, for example, that's a no-no already, because say one of the most important criteria in our case is knowing how to prioritize and how to be brief and concise in sending a message. But I think this is something that we can touch upon in a separate session, because I think we were discussing about this, Stella, previously as well. So maybe we can make it in more detail and make it specific to the Portuguese market and give some more insights from others that have more experience.
Yeah, I mean, I
work in recruitment specifically that can give
we
more
can ask about this. It's just, for example, I'm aware that here people still put pictures on the CV, but it's like the new recruiters, they don't, because for example in the US you don't put your pictures, so you have US people doing recruiting here, and if they see your picture you might not just get out of the, so it's really difficult, because the traditional way to do things in Portugal and the way that is done outside is really different. So I guess it depends a lot on the company, if it's a local company or an international company. So if you are applying for an American company based here, I would say look for the US standards, because most probably the person taking the last decision is going to be a US, like, or your hiring manager. But also try to investigate who would you be reporting to, so you know as well who has the last word, right? So I would say do some research on the type of company and all of this, because I think the standards are a bit different. But we will try, like I will say again, I will encourage you to ask this on the Facebook group. We have some HR people there, and I'm sure they will be able to answer this question. That's what it comes to mind right now. Anything else? Let's see. Camila is asking, about the steps in to define your professional self.
Yeah. So just one second, I can bring that one up. I think it's something that I've briefly mentioned throughout the talk. This was also part of the session that Olga did last time, so maybe people didn't join. I had some pointers here. If you ladies want to take note of that, but anyway, if I'm sharing this board, so you can use this information from the board. The idea about this is it's mostly taking some time and understanding what your interests are, what you're good at, what your expertise, what are your skills. Do you want to learn new skills? Do you target a specific role or a specific job? Do you have the skills for that? What industry do you want to work in? What kind of company are you looking for? Are you looking for specific values in a certain company? And there's something that is a complete no-no for you and you want to avoid. So these kind of questions, you know, and again, they're not exhaustive for everyone. These questions depend on what you are trying to define and how you are trying to frame the picture for yourself. These are just like, some ideas and some guidelines. But again, we can share this for everyone afterwards.
I've shared also the link to the group for Learn in Portugal, where you can post some questions and also see, watch Olga's video. Most of the other videos, we put it on the Facebook page, like this one. There is also a really good one on negotiation, if you want to watch it. It was also amazing. So we are going to keep posting everything. I'll try also to put them on YouTube and make like a playlist for all the job-related resources, so you can also check them if you need at any other point. And I think if we don't have any other questions, I'm just checking if we have any questions on Facebook that we were, but I don't see at the moment. I don't see anything.
It's so nice and humbling to see all these thank yous. Thank you everyone for your patience.
Yep, thank you very much, all of you, for being here today. I wish you all the best in your job searching activities. And I think one very important one is to take care of yourself and put yourself first as well. So don't forget about that important part. And I hope it was useful, and I hope to see you around soon. We're taking a break now for the rest of the summer, but on the 1st of September, we have another event scheduled for 1st of September with, it's gonna be Lydia she's a colleague of mine from Zurich, from living Zurich. So she also is gonna do a session on her session is how to build a meaningful career and successfully navigate your job search. So again, it's on the same lines about career and navigating job search. Who are you? What do you bring to the table? The idea is how to differentiate, or what you want to show is how to differentiate yourself. So it's also very aligned to a few of the questions that we were talking about today. And then we will have a few other workshops and webinars coming. But in the meantime, like I say, just go on the Facebook group, just ask your questions, chat with each other, exchange. If you need support person, ask for it, ask for help, ask for support. For me, it's really challenging to ask for help. So I always recommend others to do it because that's one of the places I struggle. And when I ask for help, I get it. Guess what? You know, it's just that it's difficult, like for me personally, to ask for help. And I know for a lot of you might be as well. But this is a safe space. And that's why we put so much effort into keeping it this way, where everyone is careful and respectful and supporting each other. So use it, use it because that's why we put it here for you, and we do all the effort around to keep it this way. So yeah, take care, and good to meet you, everyone, and keep us updated about your job search, please. We want to know how things evolve with you.
Give us news, everyone. Thank you so much, Stella, as well.
Good. So I'll close the session now. We will send a follow-up email, maybe with some of the notes, Mihaela, if you want.
Sure.
And we will send a follow-up email, and take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
All the best.